Don't mess with Texas. Well, you know, I messed with Texas. There's a reason why. I've been doing a little bit of an investigation, so I'm going to be very careful on what I say, so not to reveal too much of my information to the enemy. We know who the enemy is, don't we? The Masons. And, well, when it's Texas, it's the liberal Masons. You may say, Jerry, Texas, don't mix with Texas. They got the gun-toting right-wing Republican. That's what Texas is all about. Yes, it may have been at one time. That so. All about toting the gun, right-wing politics. That was Texas. And it's interesting because we are doing an investigation into Texas and some of the judges there and the politicians and prosecutors and people in the MK Ultra program. I'm sure you've seen before some of my other videos where we talked about the psychological operations that they have going on in Texas and how bad they are there. Both the cities of San Antonio and Austin. Matter of fact, I predicted the bombing before it happened in both the cities where they had most of the bombs that were the bomber was going off in most were there like 5 of them, 4 in like Austin and 1 in San Antonio, and I predicted both cities because I've been looking into Texas, messing with Texas, and it's very unique. And I had a friend from Texas, and I said to him, I said, you know, why are there so many liberal judges in Texas? Texas is supposed to be right wing. He said it doesn't make sense. He goes, I understand that. He says, somehow the majority of judges and prosecutors and everybody are all liberal. And it just kind of happened. You know, it wasn't always like that. So yeah, Texas was always known to be right wing. But then I looked at it from another perspective. I looked at it and said, hey, you know, if you're this new world order, right? You're this Illuminati, whatever you want to call it, whatever it may be. And you have this problem called Texas. You got a couple of MK Ultra programs and psychological operations that run out of Texas. And I think it's Lackland Air Force Base. And also at the airport there, they got a building in Austin and another building on the west side of the city. And then you got all the MK Ultra programs that go on with the University of Austin and the University of Austin Medical Center. So, you know, when I looked into it, that whole liberal side didn't make sense. And it starts to make sense now when you really get into it. Let's say you have a place and everybody's right wing, everybody's gun toting, but your agenda is to change people's perception on guns, push for gun control, push for the New World Order agenda, get people to stop thinking about, you know, succession and not being a part of everybody else and being independent, but, you know, away from everybody else. That type of mentality. Well, Commie and Subversion, which is a very liberal thing, you would start to, you know, even if, you know, because we know the New World Order doesn't care if you're liberal or, you know, Republican. They don't care if you're right or left. But the mindset of the people is important. And if the mindset of the people is very far, far right, and you need them to come closer to the left, you know, or actually it'd be that way, you know, it depends on which way, you know, the reverse image, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, you would subvert them, change their politics, you know, get the leaders of that community or state to be more towards the other way, to change people's perception, because it's all about perception, people's perception. So you get your left-wing politicians in office. You get your left-wing judges. You get your left-wing prosecutors. And slowly, you know, along with left-wing media, slowly convert those people in the direction that you want. So I find it very unique that they would go to these lengths to subvert places like Texas. But this is what these people do. These people do this shit. They're crazy bastards. So, I would love to talk more about some of the investigation we're doing, but at this time, it's not going to be beneficial to us in our investigation to give more information about it. But let me tell you something. We dug into we know everything about their MK Ultra programs that they have going on there, and what's going on with many of the judges, politicians, Masons, you name the group. We know it. We understand it. We know what's behind it. Let me tell you something. Screwed up place. The people that really messed with Texas is this communist subversion that, is ruling the state. We know the Masons have always been involved there because look, that's where they killed JFK. It was a very Masonic, whole situation. It's funny when you go on Google Maps, you can zoom in and you can see the Kabbalah tree right there. And it comes right down, end of the Kabbalah tree, the way the roads are shaped, just like the Kabbalah, tree of life, to the obelisk, where you see the 14 cuts that represent the 14 cuts of Osiris. Okay? And the reflecting pool, that's the womb, the whole thing fits right in with their story. And then you learn and understand that, hey, the grove is where they do the sacrifice, which should question you more to Bohemian Grove. But anyways, the grove, that's why he got shot right around the corner from the obelisk in the grove, through the trees, the grove. That's where they did their sacrifice. They sacrificed JFK. But Texas has been nothing but a bullshit scam one after another. Basically, where they got NASA headquartered. If you really look at it, Houston, we have a problem. Okay, and you got to look at things like, well, who owned the books depository? Okay, school book depository. Well, it was Colonel Byrd that supposedly flew to Flat Earth because he was a Mason, and I believe it was his uncle or his father that owned the books depository. There was a 33rd degree Mason, just like Daley, Richard Daley, that is a statue right next to the obelisk. Texas has got some issues. But the biggest issue they have right now is this communist subversion. And people need to be made aware of this. Because if you live in Texas, they are trying to change people's mind through mass subversion. And that's what's going on there. They got more programs and bullshit. They got movie studios, Warner Brothers is there. All kinds of crazy shit going on in Texas. And it's bullshit. But I just wanted to speak about it a little bit because it's a concern of mine. The length that they will go to change people's perception. The infiltration. And that's why people have got to understand there is no right side, left side. Because if there was a right side, especially in a place like Texas, the people on the right would be saying, or the politicians on the right would be saying, hey, look what's happening. They're subverting us. This is communist subversion. They're taking us over. This prosecutor's involved. That judge is involved. This person's involved. That person's involved. But no, they're not. Because they're all in on it. But if that can happen there, look out in your state. Make sure that these people aren't connected to some of these other people's, like the people were investigating down in Texas. Because this communist subversion, the way they're going to the extent to make people believe their belief system. And it is tied into different Jewish groups. And you can remember, the hierarchy of the Masons, they work just with the other Jewish groups. It's very, very planned. I didn't do the 666. Did I? Was that? Close to it. It wasn't. I didn't mean to. Anyways, I apologize. Very planned subversion. Okay. I wonder if I do it like that, does that make it better? Is that like a peacock sign or something? I don't know. I can do that instead. That way my fingers don't, it's this sign. I'm making this one up. This means fuck the Illuminati. That's what it means. So, hopefully that's not like another sign or something and I just gave something. Hopefully I didn't tell any deaf people to fuck off, hopefully. Should learn more about my American Sign Language. But anyways, fuck the Illuminati. Because, let me tell you something. If they can change Texas, and we see Texas has got that red flag bill on their table, if that passes there, we're all in trouble, because it will pass all through all kinds of other states. Because if they can push it through in Texas, they can push it through anywhere. And then they're going to take that bill, take that bill, fuck the Illuminati, take that bill, and they're going to make it even tougher. They're going to tighten the whole fucking shebang. And listen, they don't need to take everybody's guns overnight. Step by step. They do it slow, and people won't even notice it. And by the time they do, it's going to be too late. All the shit will be gone. So, keep an eye on Texas, because the subversion that's going on there, and the MK Ultra programs and psychological operations that are going on there, kind of scary. They're changing the perception of the people there. Just keep aware. But this can be done anywhere, and most likely will if it's not stopped. So, anyways, that's it. Otherwise, have a happy holiday. Till next time. Toodles.